just received yet another parcel. Obviously I've already split it open just to save that bit of time. Lots of nice little airbags protecting what I hope will be a part for the XJ400. Yeah, looks like a headlight. That probably looks like a headlight because it is a headlight. Brand new copy pattern headlight. I've decided to replace the fairing with a single headlight. This one was actually designed for the RD350LC, but I think it should do nicely. One thing I was worried about was an amount of space to put all the wiring and block connectors in. This has got a nice little packaging area, if you like. The headlamp doesn't come too deep. I don't think it actually reaches to there, so there should be plenty of space in there for all the block connectors to go in. This was also designed with an adjuster mount, which of course my bike doesn't have, but that doesn't matter. That really won't matter. I think that'll be hidden enough not to bother with. Also comes with this connecting block to go into the back of a standard halogen lamp, and also with the rubber mounts to go into the side. You can put standard bolts through. Nice standard bolts through to bolt it on. What I don't have at the moment is the ears. I've sent away for a set of headlamp mounting brackets that will clamp onto the forks. This is the fairing as was, with the headlight mounted into it. Unfortunately this fairing has quite a few faults in it that I don't think I'm going to struggle to repair, let's be honest. The mounts inside for the headlights have actually come away. You can see it's been glued before, and unfortunately I don't think I'm going to effect a good repair on that. It does seem to be fairly firm as it is. Oh no, it's not, it's loose. It's loose. And the other side is also cracked. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that. There is a crack going through it, and that mount is also loose. So the headlight is not secure within the fairing. I pointed out before, we've got this crack here, we've got this crack here. The fairing's in pretty poor condition. It needs quite a bit of extensive work. One of the mounts of course has broken off it as well. So my thought was to do away with the fairing and just go back to a standard headlight mount. I think that will look quite normal, for want of a better phrase. If I can mount it in the right position, I should be able to get that looking as though it was natural, as though it was designed for the job. Two screws at the bottom. Excuse me working off the top of a box. I'm rather tight for bench space at the moment. I've got several little things going on. All the front brakes from this bike are on the bench at the moment. As well as that, I've got a drill press on there. I'm doing some work on some brakes, and of course the carburetors are on there. So it's a little bit crowded on there at the moment, so I've got to make use of a box top. Two screws sees it free. I don't think I need that anymore. Now. That could be a problem because this does not have a bayonet connector on it. That's a standard fitting, that's not such a problem. Let's take it round and try it on the bike. I might have to adapt this fitting in. It's got two standard bullet connectors on it. I don't think I'm going to be able to change it over though, because I think that's wired in. The one on the bike is wired in. Let's give it a try. Right, the side light fitting is obviously different. This is designed for a bayonet into the light, which I'll show you in a minute. But fortunately it has standard bullet connectors. That's good, that's excellent. So yes, I can swap the original one for the replacement, no real worries there. Doesn't matter about the difference in colour coding. No matter which way I wire it in, it will work because it's a DC current going through the bulb. So there's no such thing as wiring it in backwards. For the sake of argument, I'll take the green to be earth and the brown and white to replace the blue and red, if I decide to do that. Let's see if this would fit into the headlight. There we go. Can I get that to go in? Yeah, it will go in, but it won't stay in. There's no way it will grab to stay in there. Of course, this, like I say, is designed for a bayonet fitting, which this doesn't have. This is just a hole in the reflector. So I may have to swap those over, but what I think, yeah, absolutely no problem here, because that 3-pin will connect straight onto that. That will work, no problem. Another little package has arrived. A nice surprise parcel from M&P. Nice little voucher for a discount as well, but I don't know if I need anything else from them. And this, I hope, yes, this is the ears, or the headlight clamps. It's got some adapters so that it will fit on different bores of fork or suspension unit. Also got some pinch bolts there. These are exactly the same, so it doesn't matter which way up they go. They are reversible. 4 pinch bolts. And there should be 3 different sizes of clamp in here. So get up and have a look. As I say, there should be 3 different thicknesses. It should be in pairs. I think one of the first things to point out here is that because they're only pinched at the bottom, they're fully enclosed, I'm going to have to take off the top yoke to get these into place. Okay, let's measure these. Oh, nice and tight. And we have a reading of 41 millimeters, 4.1 centimeter. And then we have, well, that makes 41, so that tells me those are, the thicker ones are the correct clamps that we need. What's to think about? Another thing is indicators. These do not give me any mounts for an indicator. I may need to drill a hole through them so I can put an indicator mount on there. And that leads to a whole nother set of problems. But we'll get to that. These are a bit dirty, but apart from that, these are the OEM indicators. Well, actually they're pattern copies. You can see there's no, it needs something, a tube or something to clamp onto. They don't just bolt through. So I need to find a way of mounting those to these. Also, I need to take into account that these will be slightly angled in, so I don't want the indicators sitting toe in. I want them to be facing forward. A little bit to think about there. Now I'm going to remove the top yoke to put on the headlight brackets. You'll see I've given a quick shine up to the forks, cleaned all the dirt off them. I've now got to loosen the pinch bolts at the top of the yokes. I'm fortunate in a way that these are just purely bolts going into captive thread within the yoke itself. and then there's a centre nut on the top to come off, which we will come to. Heads of these look rather rusty. Oh, they're not too bad though. They're coming away quite nicely. I might just run the wire wheel over these just to tidy them up a bit. I might also put a washer underneath these. It doesn't look right to me. I'm used to these Japanese bikes having flanged bolts, but this doesn't. I think maybe help distribute the load if I stick a washer under this. I'm sure I've got washers somewhere. Yeah, that's not looking too bad. A little bit of corrosion on the end there. Getting a little bit of corrosion near the head. Yes, that's pretty good. Rub down on the wire wheel, that'll do fine. And for the left hand bolt, pinch bolt. Oh. Again, there's no flanged bolt, there's no washer on here. These are 12mm hex head, by the way. I did rather expect it to be a 14. I thought they might have been a bit bigger, but no. That's very, very stiff coming out. I hope it's not because of corrosion. Oh, that feels a bit better. There we go, let's have a look. Not quite so corroded at that end. Try and have a look under the head. No, it was not as bad at all. It was not as bad at all. Okay. We've got this plastic cap. I don't know quite what purpose it serves. I've got a feeling that there should have actually been a plastic piece over here, just to make it more like a dashboard. And I think maybe this plastic clip is there, or plastic plate was there for that. Single screw takes that off. That's all it is, just a plastic, before we can get onto the cap nut. And the cap nut is purely there. 22. This is purely here just to hold the yoke in place. Large flanged bolt. Now I should be able to just pull those handlebars upwards and the yoke will come off. So get the camera out of the way. I don't know if that's rocking the camera at all. I might get a wooden mallet just to try and help it up. Pretty sure there's nothing else holding it. Go. Oh, there we are. Now I'll just lean them over like that to let the cables hold them for now. So the brackets slide over it like that. Obviously very loose at the moment till I put the inserts in. I just want to get the pinch bolts in. That's 2 in. Need to get the right Allen key for this as well. 2 cap-head bolts in each. Now that seems a bit too big to me. Let's try the smaller size shims. Still very slack. Oh, I didn't think. What about a mix and match? What if I were to put a larger one in there? No, that's not going to work because there's not enough room to put the smaller one in. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. The larger too large and the smaller too small. I think what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to widen this out a bit. Right, I'm wedging a screwdriver in there. I've widened that gap out. Hopefully that will be enough to allow me to get 2 of these shims in. I'm willing to bet though that these shims themselves won't be again. I think I'm going to need a soft-faced mallet. Oh no, there you go. Now, height is going to be another thing. God, I almost don't need bolts in that. That doesn't look bad actually. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. That's not half bad. Right, I'm going to have to find bolts to mount the headlight, but other than that I think that's pretty good. Right, let's go and try and get the top yoke back on. Okay, that's better. Speedo cable was caught round the fork, round the wrong side of the headlight bracket. Okay, now I just want to put the headlight loosely into place. Just to see if it looks central, which it does. That looks pretty central to me. It does actually look to me though like it could do with being a little bit higher. I would think it'd be better here, a little bit higher. Yeah, I think I'm going to move those up a bit. That's okay, actually, that's not bad. I still don't like all this gap up here, but it's that clutch cable that's the menace. If I try and bring that up further, there'll be cables that will get in the way. The next trick is to find the bolts to go through here, bolts and nuts. I need bolts that are going to be long enough to get through that and to get through the thickness of this washer. I may need to find some washers to put onto here as well. The washers will butt against that, which will spread the load quite nicely on the outside, but of course it's then on the inside. Let's get a screwdriver and take this headlight apart. I managed to find some long bolts, and I've cut them down to 35mm. I've also found some plain washers, a wee bit rusty, but that won't matter. and some nuts which will fit onto these threads. I have absolutely no idea whether these are metric threads or imperial, but really for this exercise it doesn't really matter. Right, let's see if we can get the headlight bowl into place. Make sure I put it in the right way up. The washer will go on the inside. .35mm seems to have been exactly the right length. That gives me enough overhang on the inside for the threads to catch against, but not too much overhang that it's going to interfere with any of the cabling or connectors. That looks to me not too bad. I think that looks alright actually. I'd say the headlight was a little off centre. What if we come round to here, put the camera amidships. No, you know what, I think that's going to do just as it is. I think we're spot on at that. Right, we'll take the headlight bowl back out. Now that we're fairly confident we've got those headlight brackets into place, we can tighten those down. It's very nice of the headlight to stay exactly where it is while I just get this nut and bolt out of the way. Put her out gently so we don't move too much. Find the head. Let's tighten her down. I'm doing this kind of gently to make sure that I don't move it. Now, the next stage isn't quite so easy because I've now got to put the headlight bowl on, but I've got to fit all these wires through it. All of those through that little hole, plus all of these. All of these and all of these and all of these, all got to go through. If I can feed these blocks in one at a time, it may help. Right, that appears to be through. We've got that in. We're okay so far. Now comes all our other friends that have to go in. I'm worried that the more of these I get in, of course, the less space I've got to get it into. Right, that's all the instruments. And we've got the switch clusters. Oh. And finally, the right hand switch cluster. That looks pretty good. That looks like it's all going through. First nut and bolt on. Second nut and bolt on. And washer, of course. Making sure that the washer goes to the inside. Now I'm only going to do these finger tight for the moment, because of course I'm going to have to adjust the headlight angle before I actually tighten it on. Might be an idea to get a couple of spring washers on these as well. I've now got to sort out all this wiring, plug everything back in together. I've then got to try the actual headlight in place to make sure that that will fit into place without disturbing all this wiring. I've still got this pilot light to change as well. I'm going to swap over this bulb if I can. Well, I can't. This is a different connector. Why does it have to be yellow? I don't think I've got any more. I do have a lot of spare bulbs. I'll use green for earth. Oh, that's very, very loose in there. I might have to pinch that up, make it a bit tighter. Which means if it's loose in there, it's going to be loose in here as well, isn't it? Oh yes. Oh yes, that will just slide in and out of there. Right, pair of pliers to tighten that up. Right. Make sure I've got the right ones. And now I've lost them. Ha ha ha. I've lost them. Right, that's the earth. I'm going to pinch this up a wee bit. Okay, narrow nose pliers helps crimp it up a wee bit. Yeah, that grips much better. I'm not quite satisfied that it's crimped up enough though. I don't want it to pull out too easily. Because obviously if it pulls out too easily it can fall out when I put the headlight together. That's better. That feels a lot better, a lot more secure. Okay, that's plugged in, that's fairly secure. Now all I've got to do is plug all the other wires back together. They're all grouped in different patterns. The blocks, there's no two the same, so I can't plug it in wrong. Obviously this was a good idea at the factory to make sure you didn't get it wrong. That's one plugged in. Hey, we're away! Right, I'm not going to film that. I'll faff about with these. I'll get them all plugged in. Sorry about that. Sorry, as I'm seeing them, I'm plugging them in. 3-pin one, that goes to him over here. I don't want to plug that in yet because I'm going to get this bottom one on first. Anyway, right, that's enough. That's that one. I can't help it, I'm an addict. And so it goes on. Right, as I say, I'll do that off camera. We'll get all these plugged in. Then I've got to be able to tuck them all back into this shell area at the back, but in such a way as the bulb, the end of the bulb, doesn't get interfered to by the cables. We do have a little bit of space round about. I can maybe spread them out there. We'll have to see. The problem with the power to the headlight, well, I think I may have found what it is. I found this broken wire coming from the headlight bulb connector, and I assumed that this yellow wire would be the high beam and that this would be the switch, this would be the connection to the pass light switch. And I thought, well, it's not important. As long as there's power getting to the headlight, it shouldn't really matter. What I didn't realise, and having looked at the wiring diagrams for the XJ400Z, which I hope is identical to this, it's certainly similar in terms of wire colour coding. The black wire is indeed an earth wire, the green wire is indeed the low beam wire, and the yellow wire is indeed high beam wire. But the power to it comes through the pass light, bizarrely. So to get the power here, we have to have this connected to the pass light. My difficulty is, of course, that because this is a really knotty mess in here, I don't know where this has come disconnected from. I've got to try and trace the connector for the pass light. Now, according to the Yamaha XJ600 wiring diagram, it's a block connector that only has 2 pins on it. I actually think it may be easier. Sorry, still looking. I can't see anything that's yellow or just a double block. No, I can't see a connecting block that's only got 2 connectors on it. So I'm not looking for a bullet type, I'm looking for a block. Maybe, I mean, it is perfectly possible that that was something that was changed for the 600 that was never done on the 400. Okay, I think I'm going to have to, it's going to be better maybe if I take the headlight bowl off. You would think that it would be all part of the same block connector for the wiring harness from the left-hand switch cluster, because that's where the pass light button is. Let's see if I can find that block connector. Yeah, that appears to be it there. Well, that only has 3 wires coming out of it, so that can't be right. So there must be another second part of that somewhere. Right, headlight's coming off. I may have been jumping ahead of myself a bit there. Might be better to check the power and make sure that the power is actually getting to the headlight. Now, because this is a non-standard fuse box, it's not actually marked anywhere on it what fuse belongs to what. However, what I do know is that the fuse to the main headlamp is a 20 amp fuse. Well, I know that red is 10, yellow is 20, green is 30. There wouldn't be any harm just checking if power is getting to all of the fuses. Ignition, let's see if we're getting anything on any of these first. Nothing. 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 12.8687, 12.88 volts, and of course 12.88 volts. So the 30 amp must be the main fuse. Definitely getting power there. Switch ignition on. Getting 11 volts there, and 11 volts there. Now I'm assuming that is the lighting circuit. 11 volts there, 11 volts there, 11 volts there, and 11 volts there. That confirms to me that all the fuses are working. But on the lighting circuit, I'll just check and make sure we've got lights at the dashboard. We've got the front pilot light on, and I've got a light on at the rear. That confirms to me that we are getting power to the circuit from the fuse box, and that all the fuses on the fuse box are working. Okay, now we have to find out, having removed the headlight bulb, now we have to find out where this stray wire has come from. And straight away I can see where it's come from. Straight away, we've got the yellow wire going in there. We appear to have this broken off from here. Now that is going to be awkward. I don't know how easy that is going to be to repair. That is broken off right at the joint there. I don't know if I've got a small enough pin to get in there. These female connectors will slide out of this block. They're held by a little clip at the top there, which I can show you once I do get it out. But I need something small and narrow enough to reach in there to press the clip down to allow it to slide out. There's no apparent green boogers or anything in there. There doesn't appear to be anything that's particularly corroded there. I think that plastic on the outer has just cracked, and then we're being pulled and tugged about. It's just come out, it's come loose. Alright, let's see if I can release this. It has moved, we're coming out. There we go. Now you can't actually see that tab on the top because I've bent it flat in, and it acts like a one-way catch. You push it in and then you can't pull it back out because the end of the catch catches against the edge of the plastic on the inside. I will push that back out, but before I do that I now need to be able to get that end onto here. There we go. Got a little tab poking up there. I need to bend that up a little way just to make sure that there's enough sticking up there that it will catch. Alright, I've actually managed to get one of those tabs open. Now if I can only get the other one, I can just get the edge of the screwdriver on it and just lift it up. Ah, there we go. There we go. Right, the next thing now is to open up the wire on the bike end. Unfortunately, I can take this short piece of cable off the bike, so I can just do it on the bench here. Okay, it's opened up a bit. This also implies just to snip the end off this. There we go. Yeah, not sure if that will be enough. Take it back just a little bit more. Yes, that looks better. This is my crimping tool, real McCoy. Now this works on a ratchet mechanism. I've got to be very careful, because if I do this wrong it will lock shut and I can't get it back open again. I might put it on that middle one and see how we get on there. Now that looks like it's over crushed it. Maybe done that a bit too tight. And yes, that's cut it off completely. Yep, I messed that up. Nice idea, didn't work. That's crushed the end of that so much, there's no way I'm going to be able to undo it. Okay, that buggered. Right, I think it's going to have to be plan B. I think I'm going to have to get this tapped into the other wire. Right, seeing as that was a failure, we have got the stub end wire out of there, but we haven't managed to attach the connector that we can put back in there. So what are we going to do now? I know I'm tempted just to solder the wire onto the end. That would be tempting. My skills at soldering aren't great. I think I am going to have a crack at soldering and see how we do with that. Now, I've been very fortunate to get myself this kind of helping hands device. As you can see, it's got a little pair of crocodile clips. I've got the female connector in one of the clips. I've got the wire in the other clip. It's holding them both together at the moment. And we've got a nice magnifying glass which helps this poor blind man see. I've got the iron warming up in the background. It's only just got on, so it'll take a few minutes. And I've got some solder ready to apply. Now, this is not one of my skills. It's not something I'm particularly good at. In fact, I've quite often burnt myself on these soldering iron, because, as I say, I'm a bit clumsy with this thing. I don't really want to try to hold it against it enough to warm it up without moving the... Come on. Okay, not being successful, as I say. I don't tend to be very good at this sort of detail work. I was really kind of hoping that I could warm it up with the iron to the point where it would melt the solder. Apparently that's not going to be the case. On one hand, all I seem to be doing is pushing it apart. Oh, look at that, it's fallen apart. How, what a surprise. Told you I was crap at this. Yeah, that seems to be pretty well soldered on. Now to see if it will fit back into the allotted space. Make sure I get it the right way up. The tang has to go to that side. Will there be enough room in the hole for it to fit into as well is another question. Well, apparently not. Apparently not. I'm going to have to use a pair of pliers to try and squeeze this down a bit. Hopefully without breaking the solder. I mean, it's good that it has soldered into place. It's a very positive side of it. And there we go, it's in. And it's locked into place. So we're off to a good start. Plug the yellow wire back in. Plug the block back together. Let's say back together. That's that in. Plug the bulb back in. Ignition on. Side lights on. Nothing. Ah, I know why. Dip beam on. Nothing. Right. For some reason, I'm not getting a light there, but for some reason I am getting a high beam light on the display. So I switch the ignition on, get standard ignition lights, neutral, oil pressure. I switch on to side lights, of course I get all the backing lights for the instruments. I then switch on to main lights on, and I've got the high beam light. And it doesn't matter whether I switch high beam or low beam, I've still got the high beam light showing. So there's still a problem, still something that needs to be resolved. I'm going to go back over and check all the wiring again. That yellow wire actually goes up into the instrument console and is in fact the high beam light for the instrument console. One would expect though, if you're getting power to here, such that you can light the instrument light, why is it not lighting the bulb? Since those two wires are connected to exactly the same thing. That doesn't make any sense. If that one's getting power, surely this must be getting power. I already checked this once, but I want to see if I'm getting power to these. I've already checked the earth, didn't I? To make sure that that earth was earth. Got a bit of green and crusty around here, mind you. Worried about them. I wonder if that's... I'm a bit worried about this earth though. I wonder if that's the problem. I wonder if it's because that earth is not making connection. Yeah. I think that's what it is. That earth is broken. That's what it is. There you are, ladies and jellypedes. That's what it is. This earth wire has broken free. That's why we're not getting the headlight. I've used this temporary Scotch lock connector and I've clamped that into place. It seems to have caught onto that earthing wire no problem. Seems to have straddled this wire no problem. Now all I've got to do is make sure that the little tang is up far enough. Just make sure it's up a bit, there we go. Make sure the little tang is up. Put it back into the block. Remember, this is the headlight connector. Pull it in till it clicks into place. I should hear it click. Click, there you go. That's into place. That's into place. That's into place. Put the black plastic cover. It's nicely hinged. It's quite a nice little job there. That clips on. I want to hook this back into the earth, which was here. This black wire here. Plug in the original headlight. And we'll switch it on and see what happens. Ignition on. Side light on. Well, that's working, we knew that. Dipped headlight. And we have a dipped headlight. And I-beam. I-beam is working. Try the pass light. Pass light is working. Switch the headlight off. Switch the pilot light off. Try the pass light on its own. Right, great. That is working. That's the headlight on. Looking very good. What you may notice is I don't have any indicators. So now I've got to figure out how to mount indicators.